Man, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the freaking channel. We're continuing on this train of reviewing older devices as I do. You guys know what I do. And today we're looking at the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. This is one of the phones that's near and dear to my heart. This is one of those phones that I've owned before, but never really used. And I actually, you know what? I kind of, at the end of the day, feel bad for it a little bit. And I made a video last year talking about why I felt bad for it. I never uploaded it though, but I'm just going to talk about it here. I'll talk about it in a minute though. And actually, this phone came out in 2015, and that was just about 4 years ago. It came out in August, so a little bit, it'll turn 4 years in August this year. And this phone was released at a time where it could have honestly been a lot better than what it was. And there's a lot of reasons for it. I don't really want to go too much into it just in the beginning of the video, but I kind of want to look around the body and things like that. Now, looking around, it still looks pretty decent in my opinion. It definitely feels very, very premium in the hand. There's glass on the back, and that kind of adds to a lot of the premiumness it feels like. And I think glass on the back is one of those things that's like, I love it and I hate it. It's one of those few things that I have a love-hate relationship with. It's like, I like it because it makes the phone feel that much more premium, but I also hate it to death because as soon as you drop your phone one time, it automatically breaks and you have to go through a divorce and everything like that. So I'd rather just sometimes have a plastic one. I think the Jet Black 7 Plus did it best, where it had that super premium, like shiny look, but it wasn't glass, so it was really hard to break. It wasn't impossible to break, but it was just like breaking any other piece of whatever, plastic or something. And the screen is actually 5.7 inches. It's super AMOLED, and I will tell you, the screen is definitely one of the best aspects of this phone still. I'll be honest, and I hate to say it, but there's still a lot of phones being released in like 2018 at least, and probably in 2019 as well looking forward, that the screen just even isn't as good as the Note 5 screen. Now, the Note 5 didn't have the best screen in the world, and you have to keep in mind that it was a flagship at a point, but there's still a lot of like mid-tier phones being released now that still aren't as good as the Galaxy Note 5s. I mean, but those phones are still respectable because they were being released for cheaper prices, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But 100% fact, the Galaxy Note 5 screen is still one of the better aspects of it for sure. And you do have a fingerprint sensor up front on the home button, so that's a pretty good thing for a lot of people who want that. It's not the best fingerprint sensor, but I guess it'll get the job done. You also have capacitive buttons on the screen, and like I said, glass on the back, a single camera sensor on the back as well. You do have a micro USB port on the bottom, which really sucks. I wish it was USB Type-C, but it's whatever. What are we going to do? Change it? And also has a headphone jack as well. So all in all, it has a pretty decent selection of ports. It's not the best looking thing ever. I mean, it's not whatever, but I definitely think on the exterior, it definitely looks better than it looks worse. And turning it on, here's another kind of sad part about it, but not really. It stopped getting upgrades at Android Nougat, which in my opinion, it should have gotten at least one more version of Android. And the reason being is because the successor of the Galaxy Note 5 was the Galaxy Note 7. And unfortunately, that thing had a humongous problem that it ended up exploding or everywhere and all that crazy stuff. You guys know how it was. And that ended up making the Galaxy Note 5 the main flagship that Samsung was selling for like 2 years straight. And that's why I kind of feel bad for the Galaxy Note 5, because it had a prolonged life and now like nobody even talks about it, and Samsung didn't even update it an extra year. So even though there was no Samsung Galaxy predecessor after the Note 5 before the Note 8, it's still kind of annoying that they did something like that. They should have just kept software supporting it because of that one instance of, the Galaxy Note 7 exploding. So all those Galaxy Note 5 users who wanted to get a newer phone or whatever just ended up having an outdated phone at the regular time instead of getting an extra year of support. So that's why I kind of feel bad for the Galaxy Note 5. It's kind of like a personal problem, I understand, but you know what? I had to say it. That's one thing I've been holding in my whole entire life, and I feel very relieved telling you guys now. So in terms of software, it's already outdated, but here's what I'll tell you, and this is what I tell every single person. If you have a phone that's already outdated and it's more than like 2 software versions behind, you might as well go custom ROM it and root it, okay? You are going to be doing yourself a favor by doing that. In the Galaxy Note 5, some variants do support rooting and custom ROMing. You have to go through a pretty decently long process. You have to unlock the bootloader and all that crazy stuff, but I would still rather do that than have a phone that's on Android Nougat on TouchWiz, okay? Now, I have seen quite a bit of Android Nougat ROMs in the custom ROM community, whatever, but I've also seen a lot of Android Oreo ROMs as well, and I'd always almost recommend going at least to Android Oreo. There's still a lot of ROMs being updated on Android Oreo, so Android Oreo ROMs tend to be a little bit more stable, but there's also, I think I've seen one Android Pie ROM, okay? So if you want to take the chance, it's not going to be as stable as an Android Oreo ROM, but I would still rather have an Android Pie ROM than an Android Nougat ROM in my opinion. So there's always those options, so make sure if you want to get a Galaxy Note 5, whatever, just make sure it does fit in that criteria of being able to be custom ROMed and rooted, and you're going to be doing yourself a favor by doing that. So that's kind of enough about the software aspect. Let's go ahead and move on to the performance aspect of it. So it does have an Exynos 7420 octa chipset, It has an octa-core CPU, and it has 4 gigs of RAM. And I'll tell you, man, the performance on this phone is definitely on the really, really good side of things. Okay, I like it a lot. I know I say that all the time, but if a phone is good at performing, it's good at performing. It doesn't really matter how old it is. If the specs can run the phone at very good speeds, that's all that matters. I think the problem with this phone is probably TouchWiz. Maybe that's why it bogs down the memory so much. So overall performance, I mean, when I'm flipping through screens and going through apps and multitasking and all those things, I don't really see it hiccuping too much. I don't even see it like lagging here and there. I mean, of course there's like intermittent lag, there's intermittent this and that, but from what I've been seeing, the performance is actually very, very good. Even going into gaming, I think gaming is very, very good on this thing as well. Casual games run perfectly fine. Heavier intensive games do kind of stutter here and there, but I would give the overall performance definitely like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 when I factor in the age. Because you do have to factor in the age on these things. I mean, this thing isn't the best thing in the world anymore, but for the price that it is right now and for the age that it is, I would probably give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. But here's the biggest problem I have with it. This phone still kind of heats up quite a bit when you're gaming, which does kind of suck, I'm not going to lie. You're probably better off bringing like a towel with you or like an ice tray when you play these things. It doesn't heat up as much as the Galaxy S6 or the Galaxy S4, but it still kind of heats up a little bit. I don't know what Samsung did with their phones. I think it might be the glass on the back or something, homie, but I really wish Samsung kind of took control of that issue. It's kind of annoying that they're doing things like that, but the Galaxy Note 5 did come out in 2015, so I think they've really kind of fixed that. I mean, I had the Galaxy Note 8 here just a little while ago. I think I had the Galaxy Note 9 as well, I don't remember. But those phones don't really heat up as much as the Galaxy Note 5, so at least they kind of did incremental improvements in that aspect. So I'll say in terms of overall performance, it's good. It's just kind of the repercussions of it kind of do rub me the wrong way, but you know what? It is what it is. Now moving on to probably the worst aspect of this phone is the battery life. Okay, this thing has a 3000 mAh battery, and this was the first time a Galaxy Note removed the removable battery, and I'm not too sure why they did that. I mean, I know why they did. It was just kind of a stupid thing. They were trying to follow the trend of like, oh, we're going to go ahead and just steal in the battery, so you have to go and actually fix it up in the store or whatever. But what I'll tell you is that the battery life on stock isn't that good, okay? And maybe I'll tell you once upon a time it was good. I remember hearing about it in the beginning with that battery life was, average, definitely like a little bit above average maybe, but not like amazing. I think on the regular Galaxy Notes, like the Galaxy Note 4 and Galaxy Note 3, they were respectable. But then when Samsung released this phone, they sealed in the battery and they made it even smaller. So even when it was released, it was like average, but now, since this phone has been out for a while, it's not at that full 3000 mAh anymore. It's actually probably like 2500 or probably even less. Batteries over time do degrade. So it's not just, exclusive to Samsung. Apple's phones do it, LG's phones all do it, all these phones do it. Batteries tend to just degrade over time. And so the 3000 mAh probably isn't 3000 anymore. It's probably like 2500. And that's one thing that sucks a lot. And it's not even removable. So I'll definitely say that the battery life on this phone overall is not that good, and it's probably going to be one of those things that's like make it or break it. If you're around a charger all the time, then that's fine, or if you're a very light user of a phone, then you're probably going to be fine as well. But if you're someone who depends on their phone, you need something there with you all the time, this is one of those things that's going to bug you all the time. And I even see on my iPhone 10, the battery life on that thing, it's not bad by any means, but I'm starting to like kill the phone by the end of the day, and so I need to like chill out on my usage. So what I'll tell you is that the battery life is probably like a 5 out of 10 for me, dog. But not everything is horrible. This thing does have the S Pen, okay? This thing, in my opinion, is the biggest advantage that the Galaxy Note series has. And it's more than just a stylus, in my opinion. If it was a stylus, I would be the first one to call it out. But it really adds some functionality to it. It makes it seem more than just a phone sometimes. A lot of people, use it for a lot of the Galaxy Note specific things that it has. Like, you can just whip out the S Pen and quickly jot down a note and things like that. And those are things I kind of wish that Apple did on their phones. Like having some type of stylus counterpart for their phones that's in it. I think that'd be really sick. But in terms of the Note 5, the S Pen is definitely one of the better aspects of it, and I really like it a lot, and that's probably one of the better things about this phone, and it might even shift your mind to keep getting Galaxy Note phones over every other phones. It's pretty crazy. And I can't even believe I just glanced over the camera. It has a 16 megapixel camera on the back. I like it a lot, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty decent. It does have optical image stabilization. You can shoot 4K videos on it at 30 frames per second and 1080p videos at 60 frames per second, so you know what, I'll definitely say that the camera is on the better side of things as well. I don't really hate it, I'm not a huge photographer. I really don't even care about details in photos or whatever. Samsung phones usually do have a tendency of like overexposing the photos. That's one thing that the Galaxy Note 5 I saw did as well, but I kind of see that more as a feature than like as a disadvantage. So the camera on the back is definitely good. The front camera is 5 megapixels. I don't really like it as much either. You can shoot 1440p videos on it, which is pretty interesting, but I will definitely say that the back camera is better than the front camera. I think it's kind of funny though that most cameras have actually gone down from 16 megapixels to like 12 or 13 megapixels, because megapixels aren't everything, you know, it's more about how the hardware is versus just the megapixel count. So I'll definitely say that's pretty interesting, and I'll definitely give the camera probably like a 7 out of 10. It's not bad at all. It's still very good. Now, some other notable things to note: this phone does not have a micro SD card slot, which is so dumb. I wish they did, but they didn't. That's another huge disadvantage of this. The screen, like I said, is very good. It does have the home button with the fingerprint sensor in it. You do have the S Pen, so that's a huge advantage for this phone. I like that a lot. And to honestly answer the question, is the Galaxy Note 5 still worth it in 2019? This is what I'll say, okay? And I've kind of alluded to this earlier in other videos too. If you're going to get the Galaxy Note 5, you have to root it and ROM it, okay? There's no reason to getting this phone and not doing that. You will be missing out on so much. So you need, if you are getting this phone, I will only recommend that to people who plan on rooting and custom ROMing it. If you don't plan on doing those, I would honestly probably say pick up a Google Pixel. That's like one of my go-to phones to recommend to people. Even like a Google Pixel XL, I found that those are around in the same price tag as used Galaxy Note 5s. So you can get a Galaxy Note 5 for around like $150. You can get a Google Pixel XL for around $150 as well. So your cheapest bets are probably on like eBay or Craigslist if you want to pick both of these up. But I always recommend picking them up as certified refurbished. They're almost always in better quality. You usually get warranties with them, and they're straight linked to Amazon. So you don't have to go and keep texting people whatever. You just go on Amazon, buy it yourself. And actually, a lot of people don't even know that Amazon sells certified refurbished phones, and it could be a huge advantage for you if you do something like that. So what I'll do is I'll link the cheapest certified refurbished Galaxy Note 5s and Google Pixel XLs that I've on Amazon in the description below. They're going to be the first link, so you can easily go there and buy it yourself if you're interested. And of course, every single sale that goes through those links, actually a little bit over the percentage of that sale goes back to the channel, and it helps us make more videos like this, some more giveaways and things like that. So I'll definitely appreciate it if you guys could help me out there, and not only buy your phones there, but if you want to buy anything on Amazon, just use those links. It'll mean so much. But that is pretty much it, man. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button. That'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.